Hello everyone, welcome to another video of prompt flow. So in my earlier video I spoke about how can you get started with this prompt flow, how you can create various instances so that you can create a basic flow. So in this video I will explain how you can set up your VS Code so that you can edit and test your workflow within your local environment. So in order to do that, let's get started. And if you have not seen my earlier videos, I would recommend you to just check that out. It is this video getting started with Azure AI Prompt Flow, in which I have discussed many basic things which you need to get started. So let's quickly get started with how we can set up VS Code. So I'm going to create a new flow again so that it will not create any confusion. So I'm going to name this folder as let's give it the name as 122. It's going to take few seconds. Okay, as this is a basic flow and you can see that it is looking exactly like what we have done earlier. You have two nodes, joke and the echo, and we have inputs and output. Let me quickly test it and see whether it's working or not. So first thing we need to set here is this compute. So I have not started the compute. Let me quickly go ahead and first start that. And meanwhile it starts, I can quickly explain you few things like which we didn't do in my last video. So here you can see a file section. So in file section there are many things you can see here. So the most important file here is flow.dag.yml. So this is the file. If you want to look at the content of this, you can just enable this raw file mode, and in this raw mode you can see that it includes everything whatever is required to run our flow. So first we need input, and then our input variable is topic, which is of type string. Then you have output, and this output is like nothing but a joke which is taking input from the echo's output. Similarly, we have two nodes, like first one is echo and the second one is joke. Then we have the respective properties set for those nodes. So these are the properties for respective nodes, and you can also see the parameters which we set for our LLM. So these all are the parameters coming over here, and here you have the requirement.txt file. So in this particular example we don't have anything because we are just going ahead with the basic flow, but when we will look into or do a deep dive, you will see that this particular file is really very useful. Then we have this flow meta, which will just give you the basic information about what kind of flow is this. So in our case we are just using the standard template. Then we have echo file. It is going to include our Python code, and again it's very simple in this particular case. And joke ninja is for our LLM handling. So these are the few files. So now if you want to replicate this thing in VS Code, then what we need to do is we just need to go ahead and click on this download icon, and it will go ahead and download it. But before doing that, let's go ahead and quickly test it out. So I will go back to flow. This is the flow, and here we have got this runtime set. Next thing is we need to set the connections. So these are the things which we have already done in our previous video. So I'm not recreating the instances. So let's run it and see how it goes. It's going to take few seconds and we should be able to see the output. And on the right hand side you can see that these progress bars are running for both of these nodes. Okay, looks like something is wrong because we didn't supply the input. So we need to provide some input, like what kind of joke we are looking for. So we are looking for a joke which is related to book. So I just provided that input and reran this flow. Now you can see on the right hand side both the nodes are completed successfully. So we should see some response over here. And here is the joke. So it means this thing is working properly. Let's go ahead and download this code so that we can replicate it and update it in our VS Code. So this is the zip file, and I'm just going to unzip it. So this is the folder, and now I'm going to browse this folder and my VS Code. So let me grab this path from here and I will just open it, the open folder. Let's select it and you should be able to see this. So this is the flow, and you can see that all these are the files which we just saw in the Azure portal as well. Now what we need to do is, in order to work with the prompt flow, we can do it without installing anything, but in order to make our life easier, it's good to go ahead and install the extension which is prompt flow. So this is the extension which I have already installed it, and once this extension is installed, you should be able to see this icon which is on my left hand side, the bottom one. So this is the icon for prompt flow. Now if you will click on this icon, you will see that a few of the dependencies and everything is loaded over here, and it is very good to install because it will tell you what all things are working and what all things are not going well in your local environment. So now it is saying some dependencies are not installed. So definitely, in order to work with prompt flow, we need to install some packages, and for installing the packages, what we need to do is we need to go ahead, create virtual environment and just install it. So it's completely optional, would you like to go for virtual environment or not, but I would personally recommend to do everything in a virtual environment. So let me open the command prompt here, and I will go back to my folder and will create a virtual environment over here, and let's name it as env flow. And you can see that environment is getting created. No, I don't want to set it. So before doing everything, make sure that your extension is installed properly. Okay, so our environment is created. Let me get into this environment first, and its name is env. I just want to activate it so that whatever we are installing, everything will go inside that. Now let's go ahead and just have a look what all dependencies we need. So one we need is prompt flow, and the second one is we need is the prompt flow tools. So I will quickly go ahead and install these. It's going to take close to a minute. Okay, so meanwhile what we can do, we can go ahead and create another file which is my Jupyter notebook, and I will name it as, let's name it as flow.nb, because this is the file where I am going to write few lines of code which will help us to interact with the flow. So let's give it few seconds, or meanwhile I can start importing few of the things so that we will at least save some time. I will just say from prompt flow import pf client, because using this client we are going to interact, and then we also need something for the connections. So we'll say from prompt flow dot connections import Azure OpenAI connection, because in our case we are using Azure OpenAI as our connection. So but if you're using something else, make sure to use the respective package over here. Okay, so these are the things which we need, and one more thing we need is we need to create the client. So I would just say pf client equal to pf client. Okay, so it is still installing. Let's give it few more seconds. Once it is installed, let's go ahead and run this so that our environment will be set accordingly. It is going to install the kernel as well. Okay, so we have imported our required libraries. Next thing is we need to set up the connection. So for connection, we need Azure OpenAI's connection string and everything. So we can grab it from the portal. But before that, let me just write few lines of code here. We are going to create connection. And here we need to supply what is our connection name. We'll let you know in a while. Then we need to create, so it is executed successfully. Let's go ahead and just say con equal to, so it is going to store my final connection string. So I would say pf client dot connections dot get, and inside, sorry, it would be get, and inside this I need to pass the name of the connection. So in our case, name of the connection is con name. Once we are done till here, it means we are able to grab the connection from the portal. And next thing is we need to handle the case where by any chance if we are not able to grab the connection. So here we will say again, let's say connection equal to, here we are manually creating a connection so that we will not end up with any errors. So we are saying OpenAI connection, and inside this we need to pass in few parameters. So the first parameter here is the name of the connection, and the name would be the one which we just created above. So I would say con name, and then we need API key. So these are the standard parameters which we need to provide. Then we need API base, which is nothing but the endpoint. And then we also need API type equal to, which is Azure. And the last one would be version. So API underscore version, and here we'll just provide, I will grab it soon. So once it is done, what we need to do next is we need to create or update the connection for our client, which is the PF client which we have created over here. So we'll say PF client, oops, PF client dot connections dot create or update. And in this we need to provide our connection variable. So it's this one, and let's save it in the same variable so that we will get the value. So in case if we are not able to grab it from the flow, then we are going to use this path. And here I will go ahead and simply say print my connection. Okay, now from where will we get this connection name? So for getting the connection name, what we can do is we can go here, and here you can see the name of our connection is this one, sh hyphen whatever I have written it over here. So this would be our connection name. So I'm going to grab that one and paste it here. So let's go and give it a connection name. Then we need the API key and all these things. So for that, again, we need to go back to our Azure portal, and I'm going to grab it from my OpenAI instance. So these are the ones. So let me grab it. Anyways, I'm going to delete this instance immediately. So it's okay to share the key over here. And then the endpoint, which is this one. And then we need the version, which is preview for 2023. I will go ahead and execute this as well. So you can see that everything is created successfully. Next thing what we need to do is we need to go ahead and set up our this connection string with the flow. So we'll say what is the path of the flow. So in our case, the path of the flow is this one. So we need to just grab this name. So I copied this and set it over here. So this is my flow path. So if you are storing it somewhere else, make sure to give this path accordingly. It should be relative. And once it is done, we are good to go ahead and test our flow. So we'll say flow input. So what is the input? So in our case, we need to provide it using JSON. So if you remember correctly, you can go ahead and see, if you can't remember, you can just go ahead and see flow the DAG, and here you can see the variable name is topic. So this is the same variable I'm using it over here, and value I can, because I'm just testing it, so I can give some hard-coded value here. So flow input is this. Then we need to save the result of the flow. So result of the flow is nothing, but we will be using pf client dot test, and inside this we need to pass the flow path and the inputs. So inputs is flow input. Once it is done, let's go ahead and print this flow result. Okay, so you can see that everything is happening how it was happening in our portal, and here is the joke. So this is how you can pull everything from your portal and put it on the local machine. So this is what we have. Now if you will go to this prompt flow diagram, this icon, and click on it, you can see that everything is resolved over here. Let me quickly refresh this. Go here. Oops. So you can just click on this install dependencies, select the Python interpreter, and in our case this is the one. So once we will map this Python interpreter, you will see that your flow is now getting associated with this extension. So on the left hand side you can see the bars are like running, progress bars are running, and these both the dependencies are resolved. This you can check it over here. So let's give it few seconds so that it can get ready with the visualization part as well. Okay, and go here. In fact, you can create new flow using this quick access button as well. And these are the various things which you can check it over here. So here on the left hand side, you can also see the batch history. If you have ran any jobs, it will just show you over here. The most important thing is how you can visualize the flow in your VS Code. So this is the place. So you can just click on this, open, and you will see that things are loaded over here. So right now still it's running, so it's not showing, but eventually it will show you over here. Just click on this, and the entire flow is over here. So even you can run it using this particular button, or you can run it the way I have shown you from this flow. So let's assume now you want to update something. You want to just change the prompt. You don't want to go with the one which you created in the portal. So in that case, what we can do is we can just go back to our file in which we mentioned. So joke.jinja2. So this is the place where we have defined our prompt. So I want this to be like, you are a bot which can tell amazing jokes. So this is the one I have updated, and I want the same thing to be pushed back to my portal so that I can test it in the cloud or in my local machine anywhere. So in order to do that, what we need to do is just save it here first, and then we need to go back to our flow, and in this flow we can go ahead and create a new flow. Just create on the new flow, and on the bottom you will see upload your data. So upload from local. So this is the option, and you need to click on this. It will ask you from where do you want to upload. So here you can just point to that particular folder. So in our case it's flow created on 122. This is the folder. It is asking whether you like to upload. So yes, upload it, and I will just rename it so that we will get to know that okay, this is my new flow, and click on upload. Let's give it few seconds. Okay, so our new flow is here. If you want to validate whether things are up to date or not, so what you can do is you can just go and see this. And this is the one which we just updated in VS Code, and now it is available in our portal as well. And you can see that all the settings which were associated with that code in the VS Code is appearing over here, whether it is your connection name or whether it is our input and output parameters. So this is how you can do it. So stay tuned and let me know how you feel about it, whether you are facing any kind of errors over here. So this is one different kind of I would say completely a different way of creating a prompt or to test your LLM based application. You can visualize this, that's the main benefit. So in my upcoming videos I will be considering more advanced scenario wherein we will be updating this requirement.txt file. I will be adding few more nodes over here, and we'll see how we can use the vector databases as well. So let's stay tuned, and perhaps I will be creating a playlist specifically for this prompt flow so that it would be easy for you to navigate from one video to another. So that's what I have for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and thanks for watching.